We all love to travel, right? To see new places, experience different cultures. But have you ever stopped to think, what if our love for exploring is actually putting those beautiful destinations at risk? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into today as we look at the future of sustainable tourism.
So let's just ask it straight up. Is your vacation destroying paradise? I know, it's a tough question, but it's one we have to face. When we all flock to the same gorgeous spots, are we accidentally loving them to death? This is the core tension we're going to unpack.
And this leads us right into what you could call the tourist's dilemma. It's a classic story of loving something, maybe a little too much.
Okay, so at the heart of this whole thing is a paradox. On one hand, tourism is this massive economic engine. But on the other hand, the very growth that fuels that engine can, destroy the natural beauty and culture that made people want to visit in the first place. It's a real catch-22. This slide really breaks it down perfectly. It's what we call the numbers game. On the left, you've got quantitative growth. This is all about getting more tourists, more money, more flights. But that can put a huge strain on fragile places like Malaysia's Cameron Highlands. And on the right, you have qualitative development. This is a totally different way of thinking. It's not about more tourists, it's about better tourism, focusing on making a positive impact on the local community and the environment. So if the goal is better, more meaningful travel, what's stopping us? Well, as you can imagine, there are some pretty big barriers in the way.
First up, you've got these big structural problems. In a lot of places, the government agency that's trying to bring in tourists isn't even talking to the agency trying to protect the environment. They're working in silos. Then, even if you have great national policies, the small local councils often don't have the money or the staff to actually make them happen. And here's a big one: economic leakage. That's when a huge chunk of the money you spend goes right back out to international hotel chains instead of staying in the local community where it's needed most.
And then, of course, there's the human side of things. Way too often, big tourism projects are top-down. That means the local communities are just told what's going to happen instead of being asked what they want, so they never feel a real sense of ownership. Plus, let's be honest, for a lot of people, sustainability just means reusing your hotel towel. It's seen as a buzzword, not a real commitment. And this can lead to some really unfortunate outcomes, like authentic cultural traditions getting watered down and turned into a fake show for tourists. It's kind of like social washing. And if all that wasn't enough, we've got new challenges popping up. Climate change is a massive one. It's directly threatening beautiful destinations with things like rising sea levels and crazy weather patterns. At the exact same time, you've got international investors demanding really detailed data on environmental, social, and governance performance. That's ESG. And frankly, a lot of small, local businesses are just not set up to provide that kind of info. But listen, it's not all doom and gloom, not even close. There's a whole new wave of thinking and technology coming through, and it's called Tourism 4.0. It's all about paving a new, smarter path forward. So what is Tourism 4.0? Well, think of it as using tech for good. It's about taking things like big data, AI, and even blockchain, and using them to solve these really tough sustainability challenges. The goal is travel that's high value for everyone, but low impact on the destination. And Malaysia is really stepping up as a leader here, especially as it gets ready for its big Visit Malaysia 2026 campaign. So what does this actually look like in the real world? Okay, picture this. You're walking through the historic streets of Malacca. They're using these tiny IoT sensors to track how crowded different areas are in real time. If one street gets too packed, signs and apps can gently nudge you towards other amazing spots that are less busy. It spreads everyone out and protects these priceless heritage sites from wear and tear. Pretty smart, right? AI is also a total game changer. Instead of those whirlwind one-day bus tours, AI tools can create personalized, slow travel itineraries for you. It might suggest, hey, why not spend a few days exploring the hidden gems in a rural area like Kuala Selangor? This means you get a much richer experience, and your money goes directly to supporting smaller local businesses, not just the big tourist traps. And this one is brilliant because it's all about building trust. They're using blockchain to track conservation fees, so when you pay a small fee to enter a national park, you can literally see exactly where your money is going. Whether it's planting trees or helping restore coral reefs, it creates total transparency, so you know your contribution is making a real difference. But innovation isn't just about fancy tech. It's also about smart community models. Take the Kulu farm stay in Sabah. It's incredible. A piece of every single booking automatically goes into a community development fund. And that money is used by local leaders for projects they actually need, like fixing a bridge or buying books for the local school. It's simple, direct, and incredibly effective. Okay, so these innovations are fantastic. But they're not just happening in a vacuum. They're all part of a much bigger, global framework that's mapping out a better future for all of us. And that framework is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs. Now, the easiest way to think about the SDGs is as the world's official to-do list for a better planet. It covers everything from ending poverty to protecting our oceans. And for the tourism industry, these goals provide the ultimate blueprint. Countries like Malaysia are actually weaving them into their national plans to guide the entire industry. So how do these big goals actually apply to tourism? Well, they're often bundled into three main pillars. First, you have prosperity. This is about creating good, stable jobs. A great example is Malaysia's homestay program, which helps people in rural areas become small business owners. Then you have the planet. This is about protecting our environment, like the ban on single-use plastics on islands like Langkawi. And finally, you have people. This focuses on fairness and equality, like supporting female-led craft cooperatives in Terengganu so they can gain financial independence. So we have these big global goals and we have these cool local innovations. The final crucial piece of the puzzle is connecting those two things, turning all that amazing policy into real-world practice.
And here's how it's actually happening on the ground. Cities like Kuala Lumpur are now doing their own reviews to track their progress. And national policies are acting like a bridge, translating those huge global goals into specific, measurable targets or KPIs for individual hotels and tour guides. It's all about moving from just talking about big ideas to creating real, on-the-ground accountability.
And that brings us all the way back to you, because the future of tourism isn't just in the hands of governments or tech companies. It's shaped by the choices that we all make as travelers. So the real question is this: knowing what's possible now, what will you demand? Will you look for a hotel that's transparent about its impact? Will you choose a tour that supports the local community? The power to ask for better and to choose better is in our hands.